I mean, your question is just give up and quit. I'm the wrong guy to ask that question to. I never quit.
28 past the hour, breaking news out of Capitol Hill. Just in the last few minutes, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, who previously served as House Speaker, has just penned an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal saying that he is leaving the House of Representatives at the end of this year.
After weeks of speculation, Republican Congressman and former Speaker Kevin McCarthy has formally announced that he is leaving Congress at the end of the year, robbing the House Republican Conference of their top fundraiser by far, and shrinking their razor-thin majority further from 3 seats to 2. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. All right, folks, got a couple of clips to play, but let's jump right into the breaking news announcement courtesy of MSNBC.
Analyst. So, Ryan, what do we know about this?
Well, it's not a surprise, Jose. There has been a lot of speculation about Kevin McCarthy's future after he was removed from the Speaker's office in that drama that took place just a couple of months ago. And there were very few people here on Capitol Hill that felt that McCarthy would hang around in a backbencher capacity. There was many that believed that he was serving as somewhat of a distraction inside the House conference rooms as the new House Speaker, Mike Johnson, got his footing and was looking to pave a new path for House Republicans. Plus, there was just an awful lot of animosity between that group of conservative Republicans that booted McCarthy and the rest of the conference, and McCarthy lingering around as part of that served as that distraction. And what Kevin McCarthy has said in this op-ed that he penned for the Wall Street Journal, which made his plans clear, is that he intends to step down before the end of the year, basically at the end of the year, which means that that will create a vacancy for his Bakersfield, California area House district seat. And that's important, Jose, because as you'll recall, just last week, the House expelled George Santos, another Republican member. That reduced their margins from 4 seats down to 3. Now with McCarthy leaving, that means they will only have a 2-seat majority. And there's another congressman from Ohio who is expected to step down in the new year to take on a new role as the president of Youngstown State University.
Yeah, so it's really not good for the Republican Party. And as we've talked about, the general heuristic should be what's bad for the Republican Party is, generally speaking, great for the country. So yeah, they kicked George Santos out, which reduced them to 3 seats. Kevin McCarthy's leaving, which takes them down to 2. And I think the guy's name is Bill Johnson, or Bill Goodman from Ohio. He's going to be leaving too sometime next year to take a position at a university, which will leave the Republican Party with a 1-seat majority. And we know how chaotic and dysfunctional and stupid elected Republicans are in general, but certainly the House Republican Party. It's going to make their legislative agenda, if they even have one, extremely challenging. And then you also have to consider that reduces the margin further for things like their top priorities, which is basically impeaching President Biden. They've announced that they intend to hold a full vote to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Biden, which I'm sure McCarthy supports because he was the one who announced the impeachment inquiry in the first place. But if they don't schedule it in time and he leaves Congress, that's one less vote for that. And then, of course, if they end up wanting to proceed with an actual impeachment, McCarthy's vote won't be there. Now, I will say, so like the way it generally works is, so when McCarthy leaves before his term expires, the governor of California, which is a Democrat, Gavin Newsom, won't be able to fill the vacancy, but he will be able to schedule a special election, which takes place like 70 to 90 days. And so if Newsom wanted to, given that Kevin McCarthy's district is Bakersfield, it's a reliably Republican district, so McCarthy's successor is very likely to be a Republican, Newsom in theory could drag it out, 90 days, 3 months, and 3 months is plenty of time for the House Republican Conference to embarrass themselves, humiliate themselves in front of the American people. So perhaps Governor Newsom should do just that. The Washington Post goes into a bit more detail. Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy will retire from Congress at the end of the year. He will not seek re-election in his seat and will retire from Congress at the end of the month. I've decided to depart the House at the end of this year to serve America in new ways, he said in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. I know my work is only getting started. His retirement will bring an end to a 16-year House career that saw him quickly rise through the ranks of the Republican leadership, culminating with his stint as Speaker. His ouster marked the first time in history that the House voted to remove its leader, a move that threw the chamber into a period of instability. So he did make history, as we talked about, historical figure, in the worst possible way, of course, but he did make history. One of the shortest tenures as Speaker of the House. I think it lasted about 10 months. So just an ignominious stint as the presiding officer of the House of Representatives. But yeah, McCarthy had been striving to become Speaker of the House since at least 2015. It's nothing new, right? He was eagerly anticipating the opportunity to have the gavel, and he had it for 10 months. It was extremely challenging. He was basically, receiving opprobrium from both ends of the political spectrum, the far-right Freedom Caucus, Democrats. Democrats, of course, had a right. They were completely justified in their criticism of Kevin McCarthy because he repeatedly lied to them and to the president, reneged on multiple deals, multiple commitments, just a bad faith negotiating actor. So they were right to expel him when they had the opportunity. But let's see. So the other thing that was interesting is yesterday as well, one of McCarthy's good friends and allies, Patrick McHenry, who served as the Speaker pro tempore when McCarthy was ousted, basically the temporary Speaker, the guy with the bow tie and the giant gavel, he is also retiring as well. And as the Washington Post notes, McCarthy will join the more than 3 dozen incumbent House members who've either announced they will not seek re-election in 2024 or have announced that they will not seek re-election in 2024 because they're either retiring or seeking other office. Yeah, so it's going to be a mass exodus of incumbent congresspeople, and not just Republicans, by the way, several Democrats as well. I don't want to play the full thing here, but Kevin McCarthy did release a 2.5-minute congratulatory publicity reel commemorating how awesome he is as he's announcing his retirement. But I do want to play the relevant part so you can see this man just in pure cope mode announce his departure.
An idea. Today I am driven by the same purpose that I felt when I arrived in Congress. But now it is time to pursue my passion in a new arena. While I'll be departing the House at the end of this year, I will never, ever give up fighting for this country that I love so much.
Yeah. He always says how he's not a quitter, but he is quitting. And honestly, that's good. Kevin McCarthy is terrible. He's just a genuinely terrible person. Not in the way that Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert are, but in a unique way because he knows better. Kevin McCarthy isn't stupid, right? He is well aware of the fascistic strain within the Republican Party. As a matter of fact, his speakership was a victim of it. And he had an opportunity after the events of the January 6th insurrection, in which he was not yet Speaker, but he was the House Republican leader. He had the opportunity, along with Mitch McConnell, to steer the GOP away from Donald Trump. And he didn't. He caved. He folded, even though he condemned the insurrection and acknowledged publicly that Trump was culpable for it. But when the pressure, got too intense, rather than do the right thing, the principled thing, the thing that is in the long-term interest of the Republican Party and the country, more importantly, McCarthy folded like wet tissue paper. And I do want to play this clip here because Liz Cheney recently put out a book, and she has an excerpt about Kevin McCarthy's visit to Mar-a-Lago in the aftermath of the January 6th insurrection, which was widely seen as McCarthy bending the knee and kissing the ring and swearing fealty to Donald Trump once more.
And she writes, get ready, Cheney, Mar-a-Lago? What the hell, Kevin? Kevin McCarthy. They're really worried. Trump's not eating, so they asked me to come see him. Cheney, what? You went to Mar-a-Lago because Trump's not eating? McCarthy, yeah, he's really depressed.
Profoundly pathetic. So that's it. That's the end of Kevin McCarthy's political career. Can't say I'm surprised. He wanted the speakership. He wanted the glory. He wanted the leadership. He had it for 10 months. It was ripped away from him, in large part because of his own dishonesty and stupidity and trying to have a foot in both worlds. But it makes sense that he would feel no loyalty to the Republican conference that allowed him to be ousted, which is why we've heard reports of increasing hostility, sometimes even physical hostility, if you believe it. Tim Burchett said that Kevin McCarthy, just a couple of weeks ago, elbowed him in the back, which nearly led to a brawl between them. It's not exactly surprising that McCarthy's saying peace. And McCarthy's absence will hurt the Republicans. Again, not just in terms of the vote margin, but also because he was by far their top fundraiser. But as I said, a weakened Republican Party is a stronger America. So let me know what you think in the comments.